Hey everybody, welcome back to Backlog Banter. I'm your boy Abram, joined as usual by my, and it's never been more appropriate, list-making co-host, Tucker Hazelin. We're here today, finally, just for you, Phil.
Oh,
We are here to finally talk through the BLB community's top 50 most essential games of all time. Now, if you remember, this is actually the third installment in a
Yes.
series of videos.
yes. That was
where-
supposed to happen over the course of a month.
Sure.
It was about 5 months, but you know.
Yeah, a course of a undisclosed number of months. In which we made our own lists of the top 50 most essential games.
Yeah.
We asked you guys for your lists. We did a little bit of math, a little bit of combobulation.
Yes, well, I did.
You did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I-
I taught you how to fish. I said,
That's true.
I
That's a
said
great
use
point.
Google Sheets, use
I'm
the sum
gonna
tool.
fish a lot.
And you fished a lot.
Holy shit,
I fished a lot. Because if it was me, this would be a much shorter video.
Yeah.
But because it's you, you've done some really great crunching, some calculating, and some figuring. But not all of that figuring on a sort of stats and patterns level will be talked about here because we are adding a fourth video into the series.
Oh my god.
And this is
It's kind of like the Crystal Skull.
Sure.
King Crystal Skull to our trilogy.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
And I like the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, so hopefully
Yeah.
I like the fourth video too. And I think I will, because that will involve you guys sharing your thoughts about the list we're about to unveil. Because today we're just going to unveil the list, share our impressions,
Yeah.
share what we think is going on, see if you guys are cringe or not in your choices.
Sure.
But that's basically...
You're part of you guys, by the way.
No, but here's the thing, right? My list was basically impeccable.
Oh, I
So
forgot
it's,
about
it's
that. Yeah.
sort of the degree to which
Sure.
it's been tainted.
the cringeometer is how many of your entries made the list.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Not many.
But if you want to follow along, we'll leave the link because it's on backlog now.
Yeah.
We made a backlog version of the list that is going to be in the description.
Yeah, and it'll also be shared on the BLB discussions channel or submissions channel
Yeah.
rather. And
And I mean,
it'll be circulated. Everyone's gonna be talking about it.
yeah, and like we probably should say subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, leave a comment, like the video, but it doesn't matter because
No.
this video is just for you guys.
It's for you guys. Yeah.
Let's just recap
Yeah.
really quickly how we did this
Sure.
process.
Yeah.
Basically, we took everybody's top 50 lists that everybody submitted individually.
Yeah.
And then we essentially gave them all a point value. Your
Yes.
first place game.
Well, we asked everyone for a 1 to 50 ranked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ranked 1 to 50, and then you get the inverse number of points, right?
Yeah.
So place 1 gets 50, place 50 gets 1.
Mhm.
And then we just added them all up, and the games that got the most points, place on the list.
Wow, what a fucking shocker.
Now, one thing to note, and we'll probably have to deliberate this on a case-by-case basis, as we did in the generation of the list, really
Yeah.
as you did. Again, this is... So we must thank Tucker, as usual. Thank him in the
Yeah.
comments for putting this together. If you submitted Metroid Prime, when I submitted Metroid Prime Remastered,
Yeah.
they became one entry.
Yeah. I used a little bit of creative liberty, frankly, because there was some like I don't know what I'm gonna do, so I just made the choice.
That's fair enough.
frankly,
That's fair enough.
I used my executive power. I'm like, no one's gonna complain, right? And, like that was my thing. It's like, okay, you voted for Persona 5, you voted for Persona 5 Royal. Like, how mad are you really gonna be if Royal ends up on the list?
Well,
Like,
here's the other thing. If somebody's mad, they'd have to reverse engineer and solicit so
That's a
much
great
data
point.
that, for all you know, we picked 50 names out of a hat.
yeah. I also do want to number one thank the people that submitted.
Yes.
We got 17 submissions.
And it's a lot of work to make those lists.
Yes, it was absolutely. Most of which actually came in the last few days because I was really on a roll of guys. You got a couple days left. Figure this out. Give me some lists if you can.
Yeah.
And a lot of you actually did. Of course, there were some people. Wow, you're really excited about this.
She
aren't
didn't
you?
submit a list.
No, and that's why she's crying. She's so sad. But I do want to read out the names of people who did submit. There are 17. We're 2 of them, so really 15.
So 15.
Daniel, Bo, Murph, Bro, Andrew, no, you're Abram. Nishquick, Phil, Siscott, Sam, Franz, Adam Hurd, Walker, Drax, Obby, and Joe Wright. 15.
Yeah. that's
Lovely
great.
individuals.
That's very
Yeah.
good.
Making this list bumps up your sex appeal by 2 points in my mind.
It
Not
depends-
you, other
yeah.
people.
Well, mine couldn't go higher.
That's
so
a good
it's
point.
fine.
It's maxed out. Go off the charts.
Last wrinkle to throw in here, right? Again, teach a man to fish, aka basically Tucker did all the work, and I just didn't do anything. Tucker knows the list.
Yes.
I don't know the list.
True.
So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna be in the position of all of you, and we're gonna reveal the list slowly. Now you could just click the link in the description and spoil yourself, and frankly, I don't care if you do,
Yeah.
but I can't do that right now. So we're gonna go 50 to 1. As things are interesting, we'll stop and we'll chat
Yes,
about them.
yes.
But let's just get started.
Well, I also, for the hypothetical newcomer, it's
Yeah.
probably low. chances low that you're going to come
Sure,
here.
sure.
But if you didn't watch the other videos, I do want to quickly remind you of the rules that went into making the choices
Good
to
call.
put on this list. Number one was we want our games to be of the highest quality. We want the games to show what the medium is capable of in terms of breadth and diversity and unique uses of interactivity. Games that are historically important can still be considered an excellent game today. And then also, don't fight against recency bias. Don't worry about series overrepresentation. And you have to have played the game to put it on your list. And so I sent that to most people. I think there was a few that I forgot, but really, who cares? I can't make them choose anything. So I don't know if they follow these rules or not.
That's also a good point, though, because part of what's cool about this exercise to me is that after the fact, after we've read the list, we've sat with it for a little bit, we get community submission, you've done a lot of analysis of it, we can also look to see where we fell short, right?
Sure.
Maybe it was that we didn't have a big enough sample size. Maybe it was that people made bad choices.
Usually.
Maybe it's that the rules weren't clearly explained to everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, the impetus for this in the first place was us looking at lists like GQ and saying, this could be a lot better, right? But that doesn't make our list infallible. We're going to have a probably similar number of issues, which we'll talk through.
Well, here's the interesting thing is I want to start off this conversation by expressing I thought our list would be more different. I was doing a little bit of comparison between our list and the other list. I'm like, no, it's basically the same. So
just to clarify, between the BLB list and the GQ
yeah,
list.
GQ, IGN, I was doing a little bit of perusing, and it's it's over 2/3 the same. It's like, wow. So maybe they were a little bit more similar, but regardless, it is different from those. It is our list, and that makes it, frankly, more interesting to me than these other ones.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get started. Number 50.
Number 50.
Yeah.
Metroid Dread.
Okay. This is interesting, right? And I don't want to comment too much on this yet, right? Because we're only at 50.
Yes.
But I'll be...
There are most of the list to go.
Right. I'll be super curious.
Some might say vast majority.
Sure. I'll be super curious to revisit the placement of Metroid Dread if we start hitting Super and things. Just in that, as we were saying, don't lean away from recency bias, etc. Yeah. And Metroid Dread is pretty much universally beloved in our community.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, I'm gonna
Even me.
Even you. Yeah. I'm gonna just check. I'm just gonna note that in my mind.
All right. Number 49, Dark Souls 3.
Okay.
Number 48, Nier Automata.
I would have said that was gonna be higher.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
It's not though. So too bad. Sorry, Nier. But also congrats because you're on the list. There's a lot of games submitted. Right. I didn't do the research of how many individual games were in the pool in terms of. I think we received 850 total submissions.
Sure.
50 times 17.
Right.
But I'll do that before the Crystal Skull of our.
Sure.
I just want to make sure I want to drill it in everyone's head. It's really the Kingdom of Crystal Skull, and it means down the line we will have a Dial of Destiny.
We will.
Where we're really old and we're still doing this shit. Number 48, Eco.
Okay.
Number 46, Grand Theft Auto 5.
I also would have expected that too. Well, actually, you know what? We don't really talk about Grand Theft Auto 5 as a community.
I was kind of shocked to see this on here. I mean, I would easily see it in the top 10 or anything, any other top 100 list because it's one of the most popular and highest quality games of all time. But it did crack our list. But there was a relatively small number of people that put it on there, but they put it very high.
Right.
So even with that, it was able to crack them on the list. Number 45, Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. If you look at the box art here, the Super is hiding. It's behind the rest of the logo.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a different color. I don't like that.
Much to consider.
Capcom, go back in time, change it.
Release another version. Did in 2017.
They're always doing that, yeah. Number 44, God of War 2018.
Yeah, this is another one that I would have expected to be higher.
It's not. What am I supposed to say? I am the arbiter of truth here.
Right. Yeah, I think this might be a sort of an indication of just the taste of the community we've ended up building around.
Yeah, because this is another one that is usually very, very high.
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 43, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were a few Call of Duty games mentioned. This was the only one that had a significant amount of people voting for it. Otherwise, it was maybe one, maybe two for a couple other entries like Black Ops 2, Modern Warfare 2019. But Call of Duty 4, Modern Warfare was the only Call of Duty game that cracked the top of our list. And I would say that and maybe Modern Warfare 2 are the ones you'd expect to be at the top of the list. So, hey.
Yeah, you'd expect those. I mean, if I were to put one, I'd be the 2019 Modern Warfare.
Sure, so would I. Yeah, it's my favorite.
But
number 42, Red Dead Redemption 2.
Interesting.
Another one that relatively few people voted for, but it was very high. on the
Right,
list
right,
of
right.
Those who did.
I assume it is interesting because you're right. These are the IGN GQ top 10 usually. So I'm glad that we're getting them. I'm glad we're getting all these poor games out of the bottom of the list.
Number 41. Here's a game you like: Mario Kart 8 Deluxe.
This is one that surprises me because I would think with the people we have in our circle that for whatever reason like us enough to be in the Discord.
I can't explain it.
You guys fucked it up. You fucked it up. I mean, I don't know what to say
by joining our community.
By doing that. But yeah, I would have if you had to ask me to predict the top 10 games for this list.
Do you want to? Do you want to throw a couple out there?
No.
Oh, shit.
Because it's too much stress. But I would have said Mario Kart Deluxe would be in probably the top 10.
Yeah, no, but I was actually really surprised to see this was only voted for by like 5 people, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Another relatively small amount. Just frankly, not a lot of racing games on there. Mario Kart obviously was the one of the series that was representing that genre the most, but and 8 Deluxe the most popular of that. But
interesting.
Yeah, not a ton of Mario Kart. And the only other I think there was 1 Double Dash and like 2 Wii. So yeah. Number 40, Chrono Trigger.
Cool.
I don't know why I put the emphasis like that, but Chrono Trigger.
I want to play that.
So do I actually. I'm thinking about that because I played Final Fantasy 6 a couple years ago. I'm like, that's crazy. I can't believe they did that in the 90s. And Chrono Trigger is supposed to be maybe better. So
yeah, I kind of want to play it on my R4 card.
Number 39, Metal Gear Solid 2.
Sons
of Liberty.
Right, Guns and Patriots is 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to make sure I get the full Christian name.
We do.
Metal Gear Solid 2.
We do have some big MGS heads out there.
Yes.
You know who you are.
Number 38, Andrew. This one's for you. Final Fantasy 6 did make the list.
Yeah. Adam tried to get everyone on Chain Echoes. I mean, it was too late because Adam submitted late, so he couldn't really sway anybody. But yeah, you expect it.
Yeah. Number 37, Super Mario 64.
I'm glad it's not high.
Sure. Yeah. Hey, there's a couple down here that I'm like, yeah, I'm okay with this. Like, okay, fine, it can be on there.
Yeah.
And here's another one. A game I like a good amount, but like,
yeah.
Number 36, Final Fantasy 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I mean, that run right there of Final Fantasy 6, Super Mario 64, Final Fantasy 7. Again, we're covering the grounds of what you expect to be at the top of one of these lists. And I think what this shows to me, and of course, in our Crystal Skull, we'll talk about sort of how this list is different from other ones, but just to sort of lay it out there. As I was putting it together, I was realizing that at the bottom of this list is a lot of what you expect. And there's a good amount of what you expect at the top.
Yeah.
But I do think that this list is more recent.
Sure.
And it skews more recent. So as we get to the top, more and more newer games will appear. So we're getting some 90s stuff here. We're getting some of the SNES, N64 classics, PS1 classics, but it does get newer as it goes to the top. Number 35, Journey.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, Journey is one I would have liked to see higher, and I actually could have expected to see higher because who was it? Adam that put it at number 1?
Yep.
I also had it on my list. As I was saying, I think that's a really bold number 1 choice.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have put it at number 1, but I put it on my list. So.
Yeah. Now here's a game I didn't put at number 1.
Okay.
But I could have hypothetically put it at number 1.
Sure.
Much like many of these, but this one very specifically.
Hit me with it.
Number 34, The Stanley Parable.
Yeah, it's on my list too.
This was a game that was voted for quite a bit, and I think that this is one of the key examples on our list of what the medium of video games can do. Like people trying to have diversity on their list, and that's certainly why it's very high for me. It's a very distinct game.
Yeah,
doesn't quite fit into the genres that many of these games do. Number 33, Doom, 1993.
1993.
No votes for any Doom game newer than that. Actually, there might have been one Eternal.
Sure,
but there was like 5 people that voted for Doom.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I would not have anticipated that to be on the list at all, frankly.
And frankly, some of my friends voted for it, and so I've played that game. It's fine. I don't get the hype though, honestly.
Yeah, I've never been able to get into any Doom game.
Well, no, until a couple days ago, you're kind of playing Doom 2016.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep trying. All
right, we'll talk about that.
It's later. A different conversation.
Number 32, Celeste.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Number 31, Resident Evil 4.
Which Resident Evil 4?
The original.
Yeah.
1 vote for remake.
That's me.
Oh, you put that on there? Okay.
I put remake on there because obviously they're very different games, but I think that remake exemplifies what is amazing about the original, but then I think better presents it to a new audience. But I think RE4 Original is a masterpiece. I think it's one of the greatest games of that generation.
I'm just being a cheese whiz, as they call them. Number 30, Xenoblade Chronicles 3.
Okay. What am I going to say about Xenoblade Chronicles?
This is one of the newest games on our list, though, so that does make it pretty interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting.
But again, this is, and we'll get a couple more of these going up, but very specific, hardcore fan base of Xenoblade fans in our community, and that's why a game like this cracks our top 50.
And don't answer this, because I'll be surprised and sort of living in dread. But I fear that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 is also on the list.
What do you want to say? You don't want me to say anything.
I'm just putting out there that I fear that it might be here still.
Okay, why don't we bring it back down?
Sure.
Still, you're beating hard a bit. A game that you like but don't love. Number 29, Portal.
Okay, yeah, Portal of course. 1. Yeah, Portal should be in there. I like Portal 1 more than Portal 2.
Number 28, Halo. Combat Evolved.
Okay, here's my feeling about Halo, right? I just want numbers on the board.
Sure.
I was actually hoping we get a Halo game lower down because it meant there'd be probably more Halo games to come. I imagine that this is not the only Halo game on the list. But Combat Evolved, as people will know, or they should know, is one of my favorite Halo games. So I'm very happy to see this on there.
Well, aren't most of them your favorite Halo games?
I like my least favorite Halo game. I like more than 95% of other games.
That's pretty impressive. Number 27, Tetris. This is I burped a little bit.
Yeah.
This is every person that just submitted Tetris, and so I combined that into the 1989 sort of Game Boy launch game Tetris.
Yeah.
Number 27.
Yeah, this is interesting because this is actually one I'd raised to you earlier in the day of well, if we say Tetris and Tetris Effect, are those going to be different, right?
Yeah.
And ultimately, I think they have to be because from my perspective, I think the Tetris Effect is a radically different experience.
I would agree.
But it also, to me, in sort of thinking about
the Tetris company doesn't think that though, because they combine all their fucking sales.
They do.
Like cheaters. Frankly, they're cheating. They're lying.
They are. But the idea to me of having Tetris and Tetris Effect is like a wasted slot. Yeah. Because to me, everything that makes Tetris deserving of being on the list is also in Tetris Effect, but there's more. Yeah. So I think...
Here's what you would have needed to do.
Yeah.
Is communicate to people, if you're voting Tetris, you should vote for Tetris Effect.
Because what way?
But you could have. If you want to do a little politicking.
I could have politicking.
Because this, I think, is the key example of two similar games that hypothetically we could have combined into one, where it was pretty split down the middle in terms of how many people voted for Tetris. One person put any version that's faithful.
That's not useful.
It's not useful. And what the fuck is wrong with you? Why would you say that? Why would you put that? Kind of like put me in an awkward position. I counted it for Tetris Effect because that was one where I'm like, I don't think they'd be mad if I said Tetris Effect.
I mean, I would have counted it for the original, but I'm glad you counted it for Tetris Effect.
Well, frankly, I like Tetris Effect better, and so that's why I put it.
And I'm assuming Tetris Effect is higher on this list.
Well,
don't get my number one, so I'm pretty sure it'll be fine.
Number 26, Mass Effect 2.
Okay.
Yeah. Number 25, Metal Gear Solid 3, Snake Eater.
Okay. Yeah.
Snake Eater.
Sure. I hope that they have a big melodramatic re-recording of that for Delta.
Oh, absolutely will. Frankly, that's probably what's taking so long.
Sure.
Number 24, Xenoblade Chronicles.
1?
I said what I said. Okay. Did you hear a number coming out of my mouth?
This makes me even more fearful because it means that there is probably at least one more Xenoblade game on the list. If we're gonna put any Xenoblade game on the list, it should be X.
Number 23, Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Okay. All right.
The whole trilogy.
I'm also fucking around a little bit because I think that these are some of the most impressive games Nintendo has curated over the last decade. It's just not my cup of tea. As much as I've bought every Xenoblade game.
Did you buy 3D?
I did buy 3D.
What the fuck's wrong with you?
But because I bought 3D, I didn't buy Definitive Edition.
Oh, sure.
But I also didn't have a job at the time the Definitive Edition came out. If I had had a job, I would have bought Definitive Edition.
You didn't?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, this was
too bad.
I got one now if it makes me feel better.
Number 22, The Last of Us, Part 2.
And that should be higher. No, this is another big disappointment. You guys fucked it up.
This is some horseshit right
here. Yeah, fucked it up.
Honestly, I think maybe it was just because you and I talk about this game so much, but I also expected it to be higher. But this is not one that was voted for that much. Another concentrated people that voted for it usually voted for it very high. I think there was actually someone that put it at the bottom of our list though, so it got a couple measly 4 points.
Hey, what do we take those?
We do. But no, it's not widely popular. And we know that's a divisive game, but we also have in our server some people that are very specific about the kinds of games that they
True.
play, and that is
Yeah.
why the entire Xenoblade trilogy is on the list. Is because we've got a couple people that are they're really big weeps, frankly.
Yeah.
Frankly, and some of them might have played The Last of Us 2, but it doesn't necessarily appeal to
Yeah.
that kind of gamer. Pejorative. Number
Next.
21, Dark Souls.
1? Okay. I know you're going to say I said what I said. It's Dark Souls 1. I know. Okay. That makes sense.
I don't know anything. What's wrong with you?
Now, is this the Dark Souls remastered?
I just put Dark Souls. And frankly, for majority of them, I
Yeah.
erred on the side of the original.
Yeah.
For spoilers coming up, things like Ocarina of Time, I didn't put 3D because when people say the best game of all time is Ocarina of Time, they're not usually saying 3D. And frankly,
Sure.
and also I think for Dark Souls, I don't know if anyone put remastered. So
Yeah.
I couldn't have even cheesed that.
Sure. Yeah.
It's been also especially because when I'm doing the statistics for this list, and especially looking at like what year things came out, what era
Yeah.
things came out in,
Yep.
you want Dark Souls on the list to properly represent that era,
Of course.
and not Dark Souls Remastered, which was like 7 or 8 years later. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, that's a like 2018 game. No.
Yeah, 2018. Well, on Switch it was 2018, at least. Because I remember that. I remember watching Nintendo Direct in class.
Yeah. And they revealed the amiibo. Still kind of want that amiibo. It's very cool they made
It
a
is
fucking
cool.
Dark Souls amiibo. What the
It
hell
is
is that
cool.
about?
Yeah.
Maybe the weirdest Switch era amiibo.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
Because the Shovel Knight ones were last gen.
Yeah. Number 20, Kingdom Hearts 2. Now this is an interesting
No,
one.
I think the Shovel Knight 3-pack would have been Switch era because it would have been after
Don't care.
King Knight.
But also, no, I don't know. Number
That was
20,
not a helpful
Kingdom Hearts
segue.
2.
Yeah, whatever.
Kingdom Hearts 2, I do want to say, we were talking about sort of the two different types of gamers that we
Yeah.
have in our community. This is kind of one that crosses that
Yeah.
boundary because there are people that I don't necessarily associate with weeb gamer pejorative that put this on their list. But so also it's a very popular game.
I
Like,
try-
I'm just trying to be a jackass.
I try not to associate with those people in general. To be fair, one of my best...
You're seeing a movie in a couple hours with a couple of them.
I mean, I lived with one of them for a long time.
Yeesh. Any thoughts? I'm just making fun
No,
of people that like
you just,
Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, you just keep
Okay.
going. It's fun. I also like Kingdom Hearts on a conceptual level. I like Kingdom Hearts more if there's no Final Fantasy in it.
Number 19, Elden Ring.
Okay. Yeah, another one I thought would have been higher. Especially because there's a lot of FromSoft.
Yeah.
FromSoft perverts, how we'll call them.
Sure.
I would consider you a
Yeah,
FromSoft pervert.
Yeah, we've got weeb pejorative and pervert.
Yeah.
Those are the two kinds of gamers.
Right.
Which side do you fall on?
We've been pervert. Usually that there's a big overlap in that Venn
Yeah,
diagram.
yeah.
We've been pervert, so.
We're gonna do a little bit of division. It's like dividing the atom, like Oppenheimer. Or did
Sure.
was that combining the atoms?
I don't know.
Was it fusion or fission?
Whatever.
I wasn't really paying attention to Oppenheimer. Number 18, BioShock.
Okay, yeah. Probably the first game on this list that I haven't played that I want to play.
Which one's no? You haven't played like Metal Gear Solid 2. You won't play that.
Oh, yeah,
right?
sure. I want to play Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
too.
What about like Eco? You want to play Eco?
I think that if I didn't have to stream it, I would.
Sure. I've got it on PS3. You can play it on my PS3.
I actually will play it on PS3. I would like to play Eco. I'd like to give all of the Ueda games another try.
You do. Number 17, The Elder Scrolls V, Skyrim.
Sure.
Sure. Yeah, I was like, what are you gonna say?
Sure.
Number 16.
Hey, Tucker, you know that Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim's going to be on our list, right?
Sure. Here's a trend starting.
Sorry, what number are we at?
16.
Okay.
We're really getting
Sure.
up there.
Yeah.
Number 16, The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker.
Okay.
Number 16.
That's I mean I
Number 15, The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask.
Okay.
Number 14, The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time.
Okay.
Now, I just wanted to go through those very
That's-
quickly
no, that's totally
for
fair.
obvious reasons.
Right.
It was very interesting to see those all sort of pile up very
Yeah.
close to one another and sort of sit in a block there.
Yeah, I mean, did you didn't put any of those on your list?
I either haven't played enough of them, played none of them, or played it and don't really care. So,
Fair
no.
enough. Yeah.
That was a long answer for no.
The only one I put of those three on my list is Wind Waker.
Yeah.
Wind Waker is my favorite Zelda game, but I actually put Wind Waker towards the bottom of my list. There's another Zelda game I put at number one that I'm pretty sure is number one on. Or no, I didn't put Breath of the Wild at number one on
No,
my
you
list.
put Tetris Effect at number one.
Right.
Yeah.
I think though that Breath of the Wild is number one on that list.
Yeah.
That's my feeling.
What were you gonna say about Zelda?
Yeah, I think this actually makes a lot of sense, just in that feel like everybody holds their favorite Zelda game in an equal level
Yeah,
of reverence. And I think you can actually make a pretty good case for any of those being a fun starting point for people.
Oh, absolutely.
Other than actually Majora's Mask. I wouldn't tell somebody, hey, never played Zelda, go play Majora's Mask.
That would be weird.
Do that.
But I mean, I think this does indicate that Zelda, especially in our community and in gamers at large, is maybe like the most beloved franchise of all time in terms of consistent quality. Like all these games show up on these lists, and everyone who plays each of these loves basically all of them. And that's what we really got here. Zelda, by far, especially when we get to the stats in the next video, by far. Like, it's not even close.
I mean,
how much representation Zelda has.
Yeah.
Not only on this top 50, but just how many people submitted and how many each people submitted.
Yeah, I mean, I only put 2 Zelda
I don't know if there was any list without a Zelda. I might go through and check that.
Yeah, double check that. But I maybe Andrew's list, because I know Andrew's not a huge Zelda guy.
Yeah, maybe.
I only put 2 Zelda games. I put Breath of the Wild and I put Wind Waker. But I'm anticipating that Tears of the Kingdom's up here somewhere too, for whatever reason.
Number 13, Tetris Effect.
Okay. All right.
Now here's an interesting one.
Yeah.
We could do a little hypothetical alternate universe thing where I combine Tetris Effect and Tetris Effect Connected and see how high I would put it.
Do that for next time. I think that'd be interesting.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about it? Your number one game? Number 13?
No, that's fine.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, again, because we got so many submissions, and we'll keep saying this in the video, but genuinely, thank you guys. It really does mean a lot that you took.
This made this list so much better.
Yeah, it's a lot. You guys are busy.
Yeah.
Right. You didn't have to.
And I asked most of them at the last minute.
Right.
There's some people like Andrew and Phil who were done months ago.
Yeah.
But for most people, I was like, please, do this quickly, please.
Yeah. I mean, you could have done a million other things with your day, but you chose to make a list for us, and I really do appreciate it.
Farm alpacas.
You could do that. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. Number 12, Halo 3.
Good.
Halo 3 at number 12.
Good.
Number
Hoping that still means it reaches even higher.
Number 11, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom.
Sure. Now hoping that Halo Reach would beat Tears of the Kingdom.
Now I'm gonna do a little spoiler here.
Yeah.
I think you're the only person who voted for Halo Reach, and you didn't put it specifically high. It was pretty high, but I didn't even count it because I only counted things that had over 50 points and largely what that multiple people voted for, at least 3 or more people. So that was none of those. I didn't even. I probably my eyes probably skipped right over that. That doesn't even factor. That's not even the fucking stratosphere of this list.
Well, I mean, I guess most people voted for Infinite.
That's a great point. Spoilers, no one voted for it.
I didn't vote for Infinite.
Tears of the Kingdom, number 11. Any thoughts on that?
No, makes sense.
Yeah. Though, actually, that, I think, of the Zelda games on this list was the least voted for Zelda. But, again, what that means is that the people that did vote for it voted
very
much higher
sure.
than the concentration of people who voted for Wind Waker, Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask.
That makes sense.
Well, actually, not that much higher, because only 2 spots higher than those other 3. That's a really tight globule.
Right, but I'm sure Ocarina of Time got a lot of votes by volume.
No.
Never mind.
Here we go. Top 10.
Yeah.
Everyone, calm your titties. I just want to make sure everyone's calm before we get to the top 10. And we want to kind of go through each of these because I think just give them a little bit of reverence. Also, this video's only been 30 minutes long. We got to make it longer.
Yeah, well, yeah, sure.
Number 10.
Yeah.
The Last of Us.
Yeah, okay. I mean, now this is another one where I would just say part 1. It's there's really no argument in my opinion.
90% of people didn't put part 1, so I can't in good judgment just say it was part 1 because
it
wasn't.
That's interesting because it does open a sort of a box for me of if I were to look at this list and I would make those sort of inherent changes.
Sure.
Just okay, most people didn't play part 1 because they're foolish.
Yeah.
And so you can't you have to sometimes safeguard the people from themselves. So I would have made it last with part 1. But
you're kind of the Eternals.
You could consider me as such. I make beloved people fall asleep. I think
you make more money than Marvels.
I wish. I think this is great.
Yeah.
I think this is great.
Number 10, Last of Us. Number 9, Super Mario Odyssey.
I thought you were going to say Mario RPG.
No. I don't think anyone voted for that. Seriously, I don't think anyone.
Yeah, I don't know why you would. Okay, good. I'm very glad about this, and again, I'm glad about this because it makes me hope. And don't tell me beyond this point.
But you've said this so many times. I've never told you.
You told me Halo Reach was on the list.
That's true.
It makes me hope that we're going to have some other Mario games up here too, because
Yeah.
there's been a conspicuous lack of them to this point.
There's been one.
Yeah, only
64.
only 64. But yeah, I mean, Odyssey is outstanding. I mean, it's not my favorite, but I think that you made a point to me a while ago, and I bring this up occasionally, and I think it's a great point, that you should want this game over Mario 64.
Yeah.
In that it shows that Mario still has something new to give and something, in the eyes of the community here, better to give.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really great.
Yeah.
So again, it's not my favorite, but I'm pleased to see that this is so high on the list.
Yes, it really is, and this is another
Yeah.
one that just really pleases me.
Yeah.
In this top 10, there's a solid amount. Most of the games on here are games that I really, really love.
Yeah.
But Odyssey is one that I have a special affinity for. And it was another one of those just most voted games.
Yeah.
I think like 70%
Yeah,
of
it's
the
on my
people
list.
had it on their lists. What?
I just know that there's a game in the top 10 that you don't love, and that I'm so pleased with it here. But we'll get to it.
Number 8, Persona 5 Royal.
It has to be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What?
This is another Weeb Pervert crossover.
It's a Weeb Pervert crossover, but it's also
By which I mean most people like it.
yeah,
Just to be clear.
yeah. It's also we have a lot of people our age in the server,
Yeah.
or just a little bit older than us. So like, it's almost a requirement
Sure.
if you're like in your 20s to
Yeah.
like Persona. And I even like Persona.
Yeah.
I don't really. I mean, I didn't finish Persona 5 because
Yeah.
like God forbid I'm going to play 100 hours of JRPG,
Yeah.
but that makes sense on the list.
No, well, the interesting thing about Persona 5 Royal is I think that you're right. It kind of has become the sort of default JRPG to top
Yeah.
lists. Like if you would have seen Final Fantasy 7 or Final Fantasy 6 or Chrono Trigger
Yeah.
at the top of the list back in the day, those obviously still on the list,
Right.
Even on our list. To my chagrin, I love 2 of those games and haven't played one of them. But this is the progression of that. Is for most people,
Yeah.
Persona 5 is their JRPG touchstone, especially because, frankly, the early 2010s and like late 2000s, not a lot of like classic all-timer JRPGs came out.
No.
And so Persona 5 sort of recapturing the hearts of people to play turn-based JRPGs and becoming as popular and skyrocketing Persona to popularity as it is the new touch. It's the new Final Fantasy 7.
Well, I
frankly.
mean, there's no shortage of articles about every new JRPG saying this game is giving people
Yes,
Persona
yes.
vibes. It's a meme at this point.
Even
right?
the new Yakuza.
Yeah, so that's what I was
which
thinking
just
about.
takes place in Japan, and
Right.
that's. I mean, I've made that joke. I made that joke plenty of times.
I made that joke about all kinds of completely irrelevant things. Let's hit
You
the
see
next
red.
one. Yeah.
Hey, reminds me of Persona 5. Number 7, Bloodborne.
Okay.
Bloodborne. This is another one of those just so many fucking people voted for this.
Yeah.
I mean, even if they didn't have other Souls games on their list, Bloodborne just completely cracked.
Sure.
Yeah. And also was high on my list as well, so very, very happy to see it here. Number 6.
Yeah, there we go. Metroid Prime at number 6.
Metroid Prime.
Phenomenal. I mean, as it's like it was a foregone conclusion, right? If I'd make the BLB list,
Yeah.
I would have actually probably put Metroid Prime even higher,
Sure.
just based on who we
Not
have
many
in here.
slots.
Right,
left.
right. But a testament to it. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm so pleased about it. I do actually think, though, this is interesting. I think this is something I'll mull over before our discussion video. To me, this is a case where Metroid Prime 2002 on GameCube does not belong at number 6 the way that Metroid Prime Remastered or Metroid Prime through Prime Trilogy does. Just in how I feel the retooled controls of the later
Sure.
games awakens that experience in a different way.
Yeah.
So I think this will just be an interesting thing. Actually,
Controls are still on great, though. I want to be clear about that.
this is something that would be very interesting to hear from you guys about, which is how you feel about a position like this.
Yeah.
Because for me,
Metroid Prime Remastered is one of the greatest games of all time, but Metroid Prime isn't necessarily.
yeah, just in that,
I think you might have been the only person to put Remastered.
yeah. I mean, and I'd be curious to know if you did put Prime, if it was sort of implied that
Yeah.
you're talking from the basis of
Sure.
either remastered or trilogy. Just because I think remastered has the GameCube control scheme.
Yeah,
in
of
it.
course.
So to me, it's like that's the one.
Yeah.
And-
Yeah.
and it
Well, I
just-
think the interesting thing
yeah.
about this and why looking through these lists,
Yeah.
when there were, on the whole, agreed upon better HD versions
Yeah.
outside of Persona 5 Royal, every single one didn't err on the side of that remaster. It
Yeah.
was Ocarina of Time, not 3D. It was Wind Waker, not HD. And Prime, not Prime Remaster. Or Dark Souls, not Dark Souls Remastered. Even though everyone who put that on that list would say that, okay, yeah, that's the definitive version. I think this, again, more goes towards the balance of the different factors that we put into this
Yeah.
list. Of a lot of people are associating the top of this list with historical importance. And of course, it's Metroid Prime, not Metroid Prime Remastered, that's the historically important game. And also, and I think that true for most of these, especially the age of people that we have in this group, more people played Prime than Prime Remastered. More people played Wind Waker over Wind Waker HD. Like,
Yeah.
that's the game they have resonance with, and so that's why they wouldn't have put Remastered or HD or anything like that.
I think that might be true. And again, I want people to weigh in on this. But here's the other thing: we wouldn't have anybody filling out a government document, right?
Unfortunately not, no. That's for next time.
When I'm talking about games in Discord or making a list, it's kind of boring to type out the Legend of Wind Waker HD.
Yeah.
It's way faster to type Wind Waker.
Yeah.
But it'd be interesting, maybe you can add this to your sort of response, if you put Wind Waker, if you put Metroid Prime Remastered, if I said to you, should this be Wind Waker HD?
Yeah.
Should this be Metroid Prime Remastered? Would you have said yes?
Yeah.
Because my appraisal of the situation is that nobody who put Wind Waker would say no.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was getting at earlier.
Yeah.
Of they wouldn't be mad if I put that.
Right.
I do agree with that, but I still do think that there is a solid chance that people are like, no, I mean,
Sure.
the original versions, that what they have not only has historical importance, but what they have emotional resonance with. And so they're not going to necessarily put the
Yeah.
quote unquote objectively better version.
Well, it'd just be interesting to discuss that then, because like I think you can put quote unquote like Majora's Mask 3D is a great example where you can put quote unquote objectively
Sure.
better, because there's a lot of people who do for very particular reasons prefer that version.
Yeah.
But you're going to find extremely few people who say, "Hey, I really liked when the Triforce Shards quest in Wind Waker took 4 times as long,
Yeah.
and when you didn't have Swift Sail,
Mhm.
right?" And it's the same with Prime Remastered. You know, if it was Prime versus Prime on Wii, you will have a lot of people that
of
say,
course.
"Well, Prime." The original Prime, the controls of that are integral to the immersion of that
Yeah.
experience. Now, I would personally say that the Wii controls unlock a new dimension in that game, but if you hold that belief that the GameCube version is better than the Wii version because of control,
Mhm.
well, the Switch version has your control
of
scheme
course,
and
yeah.
mine. So I think that it's an interesting component of the conversation,
Yeah.
just in that I think we had very inverse impulses on this, because if I was compiling the list, it would have been Wind Waker HD or Prime Remastered.
Yeah.
And it just makes it's an interesting point to discuss next time, I think, in terms of intent of the list, right?
Yeah.
Because if we're thinking about essential games again,
Mhm.
if I'm showing this list to somebody that says these are the essential games you should go find and play,
Yeah.
I would want them to be playing.
Of course.
Prime
Yeah,
Remastered and
absolutely.
everything.
Absolutely. Yeah. Again, it comes down to the interpretation of why you put something on your list. And
Yeah.
frankly, it seems like most people disagree with you in terms of they didn't err on the side of that. They erred on what seems to be the side of the historical importance of the game, the emotional resonance, the of its time nature, because there were very few HD remasters on it.
Again, unless they didn't
And-
want to type it out.
But some did, and that's
Sure.
2 letters. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think that that's like
Let us know,
laziness.
because I think we disagree. Because I'm just thinking from my own perspective.
Yeah.
Like, if you ask me what are the best games of all time, I'm probably just gonna throw Metroid Prime on there.
Yeah.
But I mean remastered.
Sure.
I'm just curious how much it plays a factor. You might be totally right. It might
Yeah.
not be a factor at all. But I just feel like if I sat somebody down, here's a copy of Prime, here's a copy of Prime Remastered, which one should
Yeah,
go on
no.
the list?
I agree with that.
Yeah.
But that's not how people choosing. We're not.
Yeah.
This is like what should be on this list. Okay, maybe that. But what goes
Sure.
on your list?
Yeah,
is
yeah,
where
totally.
like
That's
because we're
fair.
talking about someone sitting in their own house making this list. They're
Yeah.
not thinking of necessarily what will be on the top of the list. It's like, what do I want?
Yeah,
on
that's
this?
totally fair. And I think it's just, again, an interesting point of discussion for next time that,
Yeah.
like, if we were to become, it might even be an interesting exercise to think about for next time, if we were to become suddenly the bit arbiters of the list, and
Yes.
suddenly our voices are the
sure.
ones that made the list.
You and me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What changes would we make?
Mhm.
And I think for me, this is a change I would make.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So would I.
Yeah.
To be honest, well, frankly, I'd remove Metroid. But if I had to,
Right.
why don't we move on to the top 5?
Sure.
This is fucking big kahunas.
Yeah.
Number 5, Portal 2.
Great.
Way higher
Yeah.
than Portal 1. 24 spots higher. But I one of those series that got both on this list.
Yeah, sure.
And I think what's so cool about Portal is that even though in my mind Portal 2 is the superior one, they are similar but different enough games, but the first one still holds up just as well. It's like they stand alongside each other, and so I love seeing both of them on there, and not just one as the representative of the two of them.
It's a franchise that should have both, for sure.
Number 4, Super Mario Galaxy.
Great.
This was one of 2 games, I believe, that had 2 people voted in their number 1 spot.
Sure.
The other one's still coming up. But obviously that skyrockets up there. Another one of the games that was voted for most.
Yeah.
I believe it was like 4th or 5th in terms of how many people put it on their list, but yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
But I do love that Galaxy, Odyssey, and 64 are on here. I think that those are kind of the consensus.
I agree.
Like ultimate trio of 3D Mario. But it's just awesome.
It totally is, and it's an interesting footnote in that my list was submitted before Wonder, right?
Yeah.
And I would have had Wonder higher than Galaxy on my list, but obviously not at that time, right? So when we've been discussing this idea that maybe the list can in the future change and come back, and it'll be cool to see.
Well, actually, we discussed this a while ago. I was rewatching our video. We mentioned that in the first video.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Well, there we go.
I'd forgotten about that, frankly.
Fair enough.
Because I approached you in the laundry room the other day. I'm like, what if we did it every year or something like that?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's a great idea. And both of us had completely forgotten.
Yeah. So it's great. I mean, obviously, it's one of my favorite games of all time.
Yeah.
And I think maybe Nintendo's, well, I'd have to really think about it now with Wonder, but I think one of the greatest games ever. So
Number 3, bronze medal.
Yeah.
Everything else gets fucking shit.
Right.
Shit medals.
Right.
From 4 to 50. But number 3 gets bronze. Super Smash Brothers Ultimate.
Rock and roll.
This was not a surprise to me because basically everyone had it on the list.
Yeah.
And everyone loves Smash. And obviously the consensus in our community is Ultimate is the best one, is the one to put on this list. But seeing it number 3, it kind of like rattled me for a second because I think this is really the example of our community shaping this list and putting it to the top because this is not, Smash is not really a game you usually see in the top 10, 15, 20, 25 greatest games of all time, but obviously it deserves it.
If I can interject for a second, because you know a lot of these lists very well.
Yeah.
So would you say that it's rare to see Smash Brothers on them?
No, they're usually on them.
And is it usually Ultimate or is it like Melee or Brawl?
Now it's usually Ultimate.
Yeah,
it would have been Melee before. Right. But then again, still Ultimate, if it is on one of these lists, is in that 30 to 55 area, kind of like middle of the list. It's like, oh, it's on there. It's one of the great games, but it's not like top crust. And frankly, I think that is because, especially when you look at the top of not only our list, but these other lists, they geared more towards single player stuff. And those being the most memorable and groundbreaking titles. And so multiplayer stuff is given a little bit of a push to the side. And that's also how I feel. I mean, I'm much more of a single player guy. But Smash Ultimate number 3, I think like 85% of people voted for put this on their list somewhere. And it was usually pretty high, so that's how you get to number 3 on the list. Bronze medal. We're out of the shit medals. Bronze. Next up.
Last two are obvious.
Silver medal. Number 2. Minecraft. Minecraft, the other game alongside Super Mario Galaxy that had 2 people voting for it in their number 1 spot. I was one of those. But it does make number 2.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really think that there is a single game more seminal for people our age than Minecraft.
Definitely true.
I mean, Minecraft turns 15 this year, right?
Yeah.
And because it's 2009.
Well, it depends on what you define, because the release date of Minecraft is in 2011.
Sure, but Minecraft in some permutation has been out there since 2009, and
so next year.
Sorry.
Within a year. How about that?
Yeah,
potentially.
The calendar might change. Yeah, I mean, I know everybody from our age who smoke and play Minecraft to relax after class. Yeah. People younger than us whose brains have been addled by YouTube Kids.
Yeah.
Maybe doing something intellectually stimulating for once in Minecraft. Building. I think it's in my opinion should be number 1.
Yeah.
If I had to really get down to it, if I had to look on a community level, that should be number 1.
Yeah, well, I think it's interesting. Obviously, it's very high on the list. It's not the highest spot, but there obviously still are some people that are older than us that don't have that same reverence for Minecraft, and I think that might be the reason why it's not number 1. Because Minecraft does skew younger, quote unquote, in terms of the people that it really, really resonates with, and some of the older people in our audience might not have that same connection to it because us growing up with it and most of the people in our community growing up with it, it is kind of the Super Mario Bros. or Super Mario World of our time in terms of everyone
Yeah.
played it and everyone loved it, and it informed the way that I and many of us see video games and approach our like community and making friends and stuff. Obviously, it's my number one. It's
Right.
one of the most seminal games of all time, but it has a generational lasting appeal. I think primarily because, and I was thinking about this the other day, Minecraft exists in the same playable state in the same file you had downloaded on your computer as it has for 15 years.
Mhm.
There's no, oh, which version do you want? Because, and I think I'm kind of just going on like why I'm praising Minecraft so much, but I just thought about this the other day. Something that Minecraft does that no other game does is every single version to the 0.0.0.01 version is archived on the launcher. You download Minecraft, you can choose which fucking version you want. You can go all the way back to the first beta, all the way to today. And so every permutation of Minecraft, its evolution over time, its maintained popularity, it's obviously best-selling game of all time. All of that, I think, does make it distinctly, it's positioned distinctly to be maybe the greatest game of all time, because most people have had access to it. By this point, most people playing games have some sort of connection to it.
Sure.
And every version of it. There's no, Overwatch 2 replaced Overwatch 1.
Yeah.
You can play all of it. I think that's really, really special.
That's good to know, because I was playing Minecraft on Xbox One. I don't give a fuck about any of this stuff.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about the Warden. I don't know what any of this stuff is. It's too complicated. It's
Yeah.
dumb. I go back to when nothing and none of this was in the game.
Yeah.
But
You could.
let me make a hard read here, and then we'll do number one.
What does that mean? It's a hard read.
I'm making just hard read about the future.
Oh, okay.
Minecraft will be that new game that you just expected, number one of top 100 lists or whatever. And again, it's not my number one, but I do think, like, if I'm taking myself out, I'm like zooming back for a second, I do think that on a wider level, Minecraft is a sensible number one. But let's do the actual number one.
Actual number one, Breath of the Wild.
Obvious.
And frankly, it's not even close.
Yeah.
Breath of the Wild was like over 100 points ahead
Mhm.
of Minecraft. And it was easily the most voted for game. I think only by 1 or 2 in comparison to Minecraft, which I believe was the second most voted for. But this, I think, is an interesting thing because it does why I said Minecraft was number 2 is that there are some people who are in our community that it doesn't appeal to. But that's not true with Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild is obviously another seminal game, where everyone we know has played it, and everyone older than us has played it, and everyone loved it. Yeah. And so it was interesting to see over the course of like the last year and a half, I would say, Breath of the Wild started to take those number one slots on other people's lists and on that GQ list that came out earlier this year. And that we recreated that, like unintentionally, just by voting in a 17 pool community. Breath of the Wild kicked to number one.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense. I mean, the whole thing I'll be interested about now is if it gets replaced by Tears of the Kingdom. Mm-hmm. Harder in the future? It won't.
No.
It
should.
Agree to disagree on that, but it's great. I'm pleased that's number one.
Yeah. Very, very, very special list we've got here.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to get all of you guys' feedback on this. Not in terms of what to change, because you can't. Too bad. It is how it is. But how this list makes you feel. What entries are you surprised aren't on there? What ones are you surprised are in terms of how high they are on the list? How this list compares to what you expected it to be, to other lists. These are all things that we really want to focus in on. Yeah. What makes our list distinct? How do you feel it reflects your tastes or the combined taste? Obviously, it accurately reflects our combined taste. But I really love making this.
Yeah, but it's a lot of fun. I mean, ultimately, right? I'll think on it, but I think I have a lot of thoughts about the list. I mean, obviously, the vast majority of games I put on my list are not on that list, which is very cool. And kind of a sign of the list working, right?
Yeah.
So.
Sure. So, it did what it was made to do. Reject his opinion,
right? But ultimately, as we wrap up, we've stimulated our minds here. I want to go stimulate my stomach with some canes, which is what we're off to do next. But to close, it just feels like a really special video to me because ultimately we have recorded some videos in this setup, but none.
No, that shelf.
No, that shelf.
I just built that shelf.
Your head. If you move your head, Roger Ebert's femur.
Yeah, it's there. Yeah, we'll have to do a little repositioning so we can make sure you can see all the classic bits.
Right. But it's just really cool to me because obviously, we started BLB a long time ago.
Yeah.
as just like sort of a thing to fuck around with over COVID, really.
Yeah.
But now we're here, we're living together. We have this
True,
cool
yeah.
little setup, and 17 of you guys, 15,
No, well, oh yeah.
because we're 2 of them, took time out of your
We're
day.
2 of our community members.
I guess that's
Yeah.
true. Took time out of your day to like come and make these lists and can
Stand
pause.
down. Okay.
Come make the lists, pause, and contribute to this larger conversation with us. And it's just really
Yeah.
cool that we have this space where we can hang out with you guys and talk through everything and make cool stuff for you. And I know we've been slacking very, very hard on videos for a very long time, which we're going to change now that we have this whole flow worked out and
Yeah.
the lighting's getting better, the set's getting
Look at the
better.
fuck thing.
Sorry, I was admiring the set in
That's
the
true.
in the laptop. So, just thank you guys very much. We shit on you all the time because I
Deserve it?
I was gonna say that, but I'm like that just kind of defeats the whole purpose of what I'm trying to say. I mean, I shit on him all the time, right? So, it's good. So, thank you guys.
Yeah.
Fun video. We'll be back for
You all get shit medals.
we'll be back for the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, a movie I like. The one you really got to watch out for is this series' Dial of Destiny.
Oh Jesus.
The movie sucks.
God.
Goodbye.